You'd think Michelle has her hands full between making grocery lists, feeding, and driving kids to and from appointments. They're not just her children, they're also her students. That's right, Michelle even homeschools.
That there is a vacuum in America and even in each individual's life where they want to know the answers to life's questions. It's that vacuum where only really God's Spirit can fill.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's Monday, August 22nd. I hope you are having a smashing afternoon. I'm getting here late for the day. I've been trying my best to get up to date, but I've been in meetings most of the morning. So here I am. It's 3:30. This will be published way after 3:30, but I always like to tell you the time that I'm filming. So welcome. It's August 22nd, which means we are near the beginning of the school year. Some of you already have kids back in school. Some of us, like me, will start after Labor Day. But if you're getting ready for school or if your kids are back in school, welcome back to the rat race. Welcome back to life as we know it, going full steam ahead. Now, there has been a lot of happenings over on the rumor mills of Facebook and Instagram and everything that goes in between with all things Duggar. And one topic that came up last week was about Jana Duggar, who has a living situation that was speculated that she had moved out, okay? So I got word from my source that I told you was in the know, and they said they haven't heard anything of the sort. So they said no, they don't believe Jana has moved out. So that was coming from source number 3. So that's 3 separate sources that I've spoken to that don't believe Jana has moved out. So unless something more concrete comes out, everyone I'm talking to and all the records do not point to Jana moving into her own place. I'm sorry to disappoint. Okay, so we have an update now on Jill Duggar, who had a baby not long ago. And do you know did any of you have a pregnancy that was not the easiest pregnancy? Did any of you go through back pain? I did. I had vertebrae that were bulging, and I didn't know that that could happen. I also had horrible reflux. And then I had contractions, and then I was on bed rest. You know, being pregnant for me was, you know how some women say like being pregnant is like the best thing ever? Being pregnant for me was painful, very painful. And having my baby actually relieved me of that pain. So postpartum, I actually did pretty well. And some women have sweeping pregnancies, no complication. They love being pregnant. They don't get sick. Everything's moving great. They're not having heartburn. They're not dealing with uncomfortable pains, nothing. And then after pregnancy, they have stuff that they struggle with. Sometimes when women have C-sections, they also can deal with complications. Sometimes pregnancy can bring on complications that would not otherwise be exasperated without the pregnancy, right? The human body. And then there is the whole idea of recovering from pregnancy and recovering from a C-section. And that's where we have our story for today with Jill Duggar. So Jill Dillard has been sharing with us just life as mama of 3. Well, it turns out that she was having some excruciating pain that was outside the norm. And because of that, she actually had to have an emergency surgery, you guys. And it sounds like Jill is on the mend. It wasn't without a little bit of pain. And Jill gave us some insight about what she was experiencing in a recent Instagram post. So let me just let you know what she shared. So Jill said, "Well, I almost made it to my 6-week postpartum well check without incident, but ended up with a horrible bout of pain earlier this week that culminated yesterday with having to have gallbladder surgery. I wasn't excited about having to start my healing time clock over again. But I'm so thankful for good medical care and so many other little blessings along the way. Help from family and friends, and the relief now in thought of hopefully never having to deal with another bad gallbladder attack again. PSA, in case my story can help someone else, listen up. Disclaimer, this is not medical advice. But if you're like me and have been dealing with what you think is just gut issues, gas, bloating, and nausea episodes occasionally, but are frustrated that you can't pinpoint exactly what's causing them, even if it hasn't been accompanied with a ton of pain yet, maybe think again. Or as my surgeon said, the storm might be brewing, but just hasn't hit you, haven't had a big gallbladder attack yet. Some helpful things that I've learned. Women are 2 to 4 times more likely than men to have gallbladder problems. Some risk factors for gallbladder problems include pregnancy, rapid weight gain and loss, hormone fluctuations in therapy, people with food allergies, sensitivities, and a family history of gallbladder problems. If you don't have gallstones yet, make sure to eat enough healthy fats every day to help the gallbladder contract and be able to keep stones from building. However, once you have stones, even fatty foods and other things can trigger an attack. Some trigger foods include fatty foods, fried foods, dairy products, sugary foods, eggs, acidic foods, and caffeine and carbonated drinks and alcohol. I just wanted to share a few things in case it helps you recognize a potential gallbladder problem sooner than later and to avoid a grueling gallbladder attack. That being said, have you had one removed, or what helped you most during your recovery? Drop some tips in the comments below and I'll look over what while I'm sipping on my veggie broth. So she had a gallbladder attack. And actually, I left her a comment and let her know about one of my friends. She actually had to have her gallbladder removed while she was still pregnant, which was so scary for her. She was like 6 or 7 months pregnant and the gallbladder just like completely inflamed and they had to remove it. And they did the surgery laparoscopically and the baby was fine. Everything was fine. It was still very stressful for her and painful to have to go through a surgery like that on top of pregnancy. But, so her saying that pregnancy can aggravate it, I've seen that to be true just in my own anecdotal experience with my friend who had hers removed while she was pregnant. One person said, pregnancy really angers your gallbladder. I've seen lots of patients postpartum getting it removed. In fact, I was 1 week postpartum with my first baby 24 years ago when mine was removed. Take care. And Jill responded, ugh, yes. In hindsight, I think I started dealing with issues after one of my other babies. Stress can make it worse too. Someone said, thank you for this. I will look into this. For years, I've had all symptoms you mentioned. Thank you again. And Jill said, I hate that you've had these miserable symptoms, but that's why I wanted to mention them in case it would help someone. So someone mentioned this and Jill's response was interesting. So sorry to hear you went through that, but glad you're on the mend. My mom had to have her gallbladder out a few years ago and she said the pain was nothing like she'd ever felt before. And the first attack was shortly after eating ice cream. And Jill said, yeah, worse than labor because it wouldn't ease up. I didn't have a break like you do between labor contractions. So worse pain than labor, Jill says. Wow. Well, I mean, I guess if it's like acute pain, that would be very, very hurting. And she said she's been using heating pads. And she said the heating pad, my mama got it out for me last night. Being in the recliner has helped too. I don't know if she's talking about her mom or Kathy. And she also mentioned that Derek has been taking really good care of her and taking her for walks. Oh, and she said, yes, my mama and Derek have been taking me for walks. So it looks like Michelle and Jill have reunited as she is dealing with her recovery from gallbladder surgery. So Michelle Duggar has returned to help Jill on the mend. This is really interesting, you guys. So Michelle shows up for Jill while Jill's recovering from having a baby and having gallbladder surgery. Michelle shows up for Jill to take her on walks, to get her a heating pad, to take care of her after she's had a surgery. So at least Michelle and Jill have been on better terms. Jill, someone had mentioned to me, one of my sources had said that like while Jill had the baby, Michelle was visited her at the hospital, as far as I was told. So Michelle and Jill's relationship has been less strained than the one she has with her father. The relationship she has with her dad is a lot more strained due to their issues around money and arguments about Jim Bob thinking that Jill's the reason why everything went wrong in their family, you know, the basics. But it's good to see that Jill and her mom are starting to mend some fences. That always like makes me feel like maybe someday they'll like let go of these belief systems and maybe realize their children are more important than, you know, shunning people over beliefs and alienating people. But another thing I've thought about is, you know, during Josh's trial, Michelle didn't say anything and wasn't seen at any of the trial. She wasn't seen at any of the hearings. She never went to anything. And part of me has wondered throughout this, like, where does Michelle stand on what's happened? Like, Jim Bob is telling people things, but I wonder what Michelle thinks. Like, I wonder also what Michelle believes outside of like what she's told. Like, does she think that Josh is guilty, or does she believe that he's not? Like, Michelle has always been like this wild card for me when it comes to the situation because Jim Bob is so controlling of the two. It seems like when it comes to Jill, though, her mom is there for her when she needs her the most, and that's a good thing. Hopefully they can still have healthy boundaries, and hopefully, you know, Michelle does this with babies. She definitely shows up after babies are born. And maybe this can be a progress of them trying to mend some fences. I don't know. We can only hope, right? Or maybe it'll just be what it is and they can have a relationship and Jill still has boundaries with her dad. I don't really know. But for now, Jill is on the mend. She's helping people understand what the complexities are. I hope Jill feels a lot better soon. It's not easy to recover from, one, a C-section, which is a major abdominal surgery, and then two, now having to have another surgery. So send some healing thoughts and vibes out to Miss Jill, and I'm so glad that she's caught it. It's out. Now she can get on the road to mending. And yeah, have you ever gone through something like Jill has? Tell me about your experience in the comments below. Bye, guys.